Welcome to a special edition of the National Broadcast Association Evening News. I'm Hunter Walterman.
And I'm Emily Noyes. Tonight we will be bringing you special coverage of the 2019 Potus election.
That's right, it's been a hectic week full of backstabbing, slander, and drama. Let's start from the beginning, the presidential campaign announcements.
Our reporters at the NBA were the first people to break the story. Senator Tim Scott and Senator Elizabeth Warren were running for president. 2 days later, the campaigns announced to the public.
I'm Hunter Walterman for the National Broadcast Association with a special report on the 2019 Potus election. NBA has gotten confirmation from the candidates that Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts and Republican Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina will be the candidates for each party.
Can you confirm that you're running?
Yeah.
I, Senator Elizabeth Warren, am running for president.
With more analysis, we go to analysts in the studio. From the beginning, the two campaigns were very different. Warren's campaign was running smoothly.
Good morning, I'm Amina King from the National Broadcast Association. Senator Elizabeth Warren has just announced her decision to run in the 2019 presidential election.
That is why today I'm announcing my candidacy for president. And as I run for president, I promise complete transparency.
She spoke about her background and experience and outlined her position on a few issues, including affordable living and building the middle class.
After decades of largely flat wages and exploding household costs, many families can barely breathe. For generations, people of color have been shut out of their opportunities to build wealth. It's time for big structural changes to put economic power back in the hands of the American people.
Under the campaign slogan, An America for Everyone, Warren is determined to persistently run an organized campaign to fight for all Americans.
But this persistence will only get us so far. We need a champion in the White House, someone who builds America and brings her together, not further apart. We need to take this persistence and create the country we've been needing for so long. We need an America where everyone feels safe, included, and proud to be part of this country. We need an America for everyone.
We can't wait to see more from Senator Warren and continue following her as her support builds. This has been Amina King for the National Broadcast Association. Have a good day.
The Scott campaign, however, was in a state of disarray.
And unprepared. That was the rollout of Republican Senator Tim Scott's presidential campaign. Many in Washington believed that he would be the Republican nominee, so on Friday I decided to confront him directly.
Yeah.
Can you confirm that you're running?
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah.
My God!
Right after the senator answered yes, his staff became irritated and started contradicting him, yelling at both the senator and myself. When I returned later with several other NBA reporters to officially introduce ourselves to the senator, his campaign staff shut the door and refused to let us ask questions or talk to Tim Scott.
They won't let us in the door.
They're really being difficult with press. Like, we just want to have a good relationship. We're trying to introduce ourselves, and they're not conducive.
Later on that day, Senator Scott and his team came to the NBA office to apologize, but seemed to be confused on whether they were apologizing for the disastrous result when I asked him about his candidacy or for slamming the door in my face. I believe that it was an attempt to spin the narrative and save the face after a disastrous announcement.
There were a lot of reporters coming at once, and we're trying to organize things, and it was just a little too much at once.
These actions by Scott and his campaign staff raise an important question. Who's really in charge? Is it the two-term South Carolina senator or his staff? For NBA, I'm Emily Noyes. For the first 3 days, everything was running smoothly. Politicians and prominent officials were making endorsements, and the press was reporting as normal.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Santangelo, a reporter with the National Broadcast Association. After speaking with Macron, the president of France, Oprah Winfrey, Barack Obama, and Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, Elizabeth, she's a strong, progressive candidate.
After speaking to them, we can likely assume that they will be supporting Elizabeth Warren, as they have announced that they're in support of most of her policies. Barack Obama himself stated that what's most important to him in this upcoming election is gun reform policy.
Gun control, it's an important issue to us. It's an important issue plaguing this country.
However, some politicians have doubts.
Warren does appear to be a strong candidate, but we don't know her exact stances yet, and she does seem to be quite unpopular with the public with her whole Native American scandal.
We cannot officially announce who they will be endorsing in this presidential campaign.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Santangelo here with the National Broadcast Association. Representative Ocasio-Cortez has announced her official endorsement for Elizabeth Warren.
Today I am here because I endorse Elizabeth Warren for president.
And has denounced candidate Pete Buttigieg.
I never agreed, privately or publicly, that I supported him before he tweeted that I did. I never agreed that I would be his vice president because, unlike him, I have actually read our Constitution recently.
On Tuesday, we sat down and talked with the candidates, Republicans Tim Scott, Senator from South Carolina, and Democrat Elizabeth Warren, Senator from Massachusetts, about their policies. Good morning. My name is Emily Noyes with the National Broadcast Association. Yesterday, I sat down with presidential candidate Senator Tim Scott immediately following his campaign announcement.
But I have realized that I can't be content with happy South Carolinians if the issues that plague them continue to plague the rest of the citizens in these glorious United States. That is why I've decided to enter the race to be your 46th president.
My goals for the day were to talk with Senator Scott about his hopes and goals for the election. Unfortunately, he and his team were unable to give me and the American people the answers that we deserve. I initially asked Scott about his plans to address climate change as he has tweeted about the hurricane season in his home state of South Carolina. However, Scott responded by saying that climate change does not affect hurricane season.
I would not say that the climate crisis are directly connected to the hurricanes that we are having.
This claim directly contradicts with research nationwide. This campaign has been very disorganized so far, with Scott frequently relying on his management prerogative. They stated several times that Scott would not be able to comment on the questions that I asked, saying that he would address these issues Tuesday at his press conference.
Do you have any critiques on him yourself?
So all of our policy will be addressed tomorrow at our press conference. Violence Against Women Act in 2013. I will also not be commenting on that until tomorrow.
So can you comment on that for me?
I'm afraid not today.
If Scott is unable to answer simple policy questions on his own, is he really fit to run the nation? With the National Broadcast Association, I'm Emily Noyes.
Good morning. I'm Amina King from the National Broadcast Association. Senator Elizabeth Warren has just announced her decision to run in the 2019 presidential election.
That is why today I'm announcing my candidacy for president. And as I run for president, I promise complete transparency.
She spoke about her background and experience and outlined her position on a few issues, including affordable living and building the middle class.
After decades of largely flat wages and exploding household costs, many families can barely breathe. For generations, people of color have been shut out of their opportunities to build wealth. It's time for big structural changes to put economic power back in the hands of the American people.
Under the campaign slogan, An America for Everyone, Warren is determined to persistently run an organized campaign to fight for all Americans.
But this persistence will only get us so far. We need a champion in the White House, someone who builds America and brings her together, not further apart. We need to take this persistence and create the country we've been needing for so long. We need an America where everyone feels safe, included, and proud to be part of this country. We need an America for everyone.
We can't wait to see more from Senator Warren and continue following her as her support builds. This has been Amina King for the National Broadcast Association. Have a good day.
I'd like to make policy changes that address climate change, and I'd like to expand access to schools and education. I also think everyone should have access to an abortion and expanding criminal justice.
I believe that abortion is a human right. I believe that same-sex marriage is perfectly moral, perfectly legal. As well, I fully support the Green New Deal, and some of the funds from the ultra-millionaire tax would go to supporting the Green New Deal. We can use the ultra-millionaires tax to fund a lot of programs that will really help rebuild the middle class, such as having
workers elect 40% of the company's board, which will help give them a say in advocating for what they need and to ensure they're treated fairly in the workforce. Encourage education by creating universal childcare, which will really, and creating debt-free college. So the criminal justice system needs to be reformed, and one of the ways we can go about that is first by reducing the penalty for nonviolent crimes, and then also by starting implicit bias training for judges and those who work in criminal justice.
Fortunately, last summer, the United States drew out of the UN Human Rights Commission, and I'd like to re-enter that, and so we can work to defend human rights on a global scale. I think we need to have more policies that favor renewable energy and green energy sources, and higher taxes on things like coal that are very detrimental to our environment.
Let's build an America where everyone has a chance to succeed. An America where everyone can afford to live. An America where we're free to love who we choose and live how we want. Let's build the America that we need. An America for everyone.
Then the game changed. Mayor Pete Buttigieg of South Bend, Indiana had a mental breakdown and was seen wandering around D.C. trying to find reporters that he could complain to. He claims that the Warren campaign verbally assaulted him and threatened his husband, Chasten. After these claims, the Warren campaign sued the mayor for defamation and won.
Pete Buttigieg, former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, recently announced his decision to run in the 2019 presidential election. This decision was short-lived, however, as he dropped out of the race soon after.
I would like to announce that he did not drop out of the election because he didn't want to split the party, but rather because he did not have anyone willing to be his vice president.
On Monday, June 3rd, Pete Buttigieg announced that he was deciding to run in the election. The next day, he stepped down. Later, he collapsed in the hallway, claiming to have been attacked by the Warren campaign. He made his way through the hallways, speaking with members of the press about the supposed attack.
At about 10 o'clock this morning, I was standing outside of the offices of the Padmore Post. There were lots of reporters and politicians standing outside of the offices. People were saying that Pete Buttigieg was inside, passed out on the ground.
Elizabeth Warren becomes president. Our entire nation is in danger.
A trial was held the day afterwards, with the Warren campaign as the plaintiff, suing Buttigieg for defamation.
That we did not see his injury occur, and that Mark Zuckerberg and Barack Obama, standing to my left, were informed by the mayor that he might attempt fabricating an injury in order to re-enter the race as a presidential candidate.
Members of Warren's campaign, after I did not follow their explicit directions, and I look forward to telling you all the truth at the stand tomorrow. Thank you. No questions.
In representation of the Democratic Party, we would like to say that we are completely against him in these actions.
After a fascinating trial, the jury found Buttigieg liable for defamation. The only request was for him to make an apology, announcing the falsehood of his statements.
On Wednesday, Lindsey Graham entered the race with his running mate Ted Cruz. Their main focus was on anti-abortion, climate change, and establishing a flat tax.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Santangelo from the National Broadcast Association. Lindsey Graham has announced he will be running as a third-party candidate. Since he was not included in the debate, we talked to him about his stances on important issues.
I know South Carolina, and by extension, I know America. I'm from South Carolina. My view of the world is very limited. There aren't a lot of people of other faiths in South Carolina. This isn't about the Republican Party. This is about the general good of the country. As we've seen before, the other Republican candidate does not care about freedom of the press. Freedom of the press is in the Constitution. There's nothing more American than avoiding paying your taxes. What is the Republican platform on the environment? Do any of you know? Because I certainly don't. It is not clear. I propose we cut funding to Planned Parenthood, domestically and overseas, because you guys may not know this, but we actually are bankrolling some abortion agencies overseas. We cut sex education and focus on abstinence-only education. The only textbook that you need is the Bible. Honestly, that's the only, and everyone already has one of those. Thank you very much.
Sure.
God bless you.
Although Lindsey Graham spoke about Tim Scott's inability to run the nation, he later dropped out and supported Senator Scott.
Our reporters overheard word of a potential break-in at the Democratic National Headquarters. We heard Tim Scott's campaign manager, Will Thorne, whisper to the communications director, Olivia Henry, that they had infiltrated the headquarters. Yesterday, there were allegations made that members of the Tim Scott campaign and members of the Lindsey Graham campaign broke into the Elizabeth Warren headquarters. Today, we talked to officials from the FEC, from Graham's campaign, and from Scott's campaign to comment.
We have received allegations of a break-in in the Warren campaign headquarters at yesterday morning. The FBI responded very quickly, interviewing multiple eyewitnesses and anyone that was implicated through eyewitness testimony.
So there was a break-in at the Warren campaign room, and I was accused of being involved.
We knew nothing of this break-in. It happened during the debates. We were all engaged in other activities at the time.
If it is true and if it happened, it's horrible. It has corrupted the fair and free election that all of us Americans hold dear. And I hope that the Scott campaign or the Graham campaign would not commit these type of atrocities.
These types of investigations tend to be disruptive, but necessary in order to find out the truth.
I was in there thinking it was PADPO, and then I left. But
did you take any documents?
I was accused of taking documents and taking pictures, and I did no such thing.
Yes, we did talk to Ted Cruz. He said a similar story to us. He also told us that a member of Tim Scott's campaign was in the room as well.
There were multiple stories and multiple implications, but certainly not enough evidence to follow through with an indictment.
As you can see, there are multiple stories swirling around, with not enough evidence to indict anybody. From NBA News, I'm Emily Noyes. The FBI investigated the break-in, and despite witness accounts, they did not have enough evidence to convict the Scott campaign.
The Scott campaign wasn't the only one under investigation. The Daily Direction posted a picture from the Buttigieg trial on Twitter when they were not allowed to have cameras in the courtroom.
Hi, I'm Amina King from the National Broadcast Association. The Daily Direction had a temporary shutdown on Thursday, June 6th, due to inadvertent misconduct during the Warren versus Buttigieg trial on June 5th. Unfortunately, the Daily Direction was found to have posted photographs from inside the courtroom. Such a behavior is a breach of journalistic ethics, and as a consequence, the Daily Direction is temporarily shut down. Once they have been determined to be properly punished for this infraction, they will be allowed to reopen. However, this was an accident, and the staff of the paper was unaware that what they were doing was unlawful. This brings into question the conduct of Padmore Post writers and staff. Recent footage of writer Charlie Wiebe suggests that the Padmore Post is fabricating stories.
We've just been making up our articles. It's so easy to write quality articles, just like make up quotes. It's like, we'll just write down whatever you want to write. That's what the editors told us to do.
So we sat down with this editor.
I just think that the Daily Direction can't be taken seriously. All of their articles, as of recently, reporting on these issues have been false, and they've committed a crime.
And yet, the Padmore Post staff are the ones admitting to writing fake quotes. Their editor, however, claimed that there was no wrongdoing from their staff.
I think that the Padmore Post strives to be as professional as possible. Everything that we decide to upload goes through me, and I have the best of intents to make sure that all of our articles are professional and truthful, and anything that goes up I have approved.
When we showed Padmore the video, he responded as follows. Should the Daily Direction have been the one to shut down, or should we have been reviewing PADPO instead? With the National Broadcast Association, I'm Amina King. Back to you in the studio.
The week ended with an anti-abortion gala and a bipartisan get-out-to-vote event.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Santangelo from the National Broadcast Association. We are here today after the pro-life gala where they handed out these ridiculous flyers. It was an unorganized and unprofessional event. They had Representative Ocasio-Cortez and Pete Buttigieg removed from the room. I'm here today with Representative Ocasio-Cortez
Ocasio-Cortez, who was removed from the pro-life gala.
I wanted to sit in to voice my own opinion on abortions. I support a women's right to choose. Ted Cruz and others that were attending the event say they support life, liberty, happiness, but how is that possible when you are taking away rights from women?
It is flat out selfish to engage in intercourse simply for lust. The sole purpose is to bring life into the world.
I wasn't like making noises, doing other things to bother what was going on. But I think the more important thing was the statement I was making by being there in the first place.
The anti-abortion gala revealed more issues with Tim Scott's policies and management. We'll end with a message from the Warren campaign.
My name is Krusty, but I'm not Dusty. Can Crust on the track. Oh yeah, I am back. My rhymes will hit you just like a hard smack. Your rhymes are old, just like the first iMac. Boy, I'm so cool, you are just a fool.
Do you want a crusty president whose bad policy ideas smack you and your community? The Elizabeth Warren campaign has comprehensive ideas for education, maternal health care, as well as support for people affected by the opioid crisis.
I'm Barack Obama. I'm Mark Zuckerberg. And we support Elizabeth Warren.
I'm Kirsten Gillibrand.
I'm Joe Biden. Je suis Macron.
I'm Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
And we support Elizabeth Warren.
I'm Nancy Pelosi, and I support Elizabeth Warren.
This message is paid for by Warren for America.
I'm Elizabeth Warren, and I'm running to be your next president. I grew up in Oklahoma City, the youngest of 4, in a middle-class family that struggled to get by. When I was 12, my father suffered a severe heart attack. Though he lived through it, he wasn't able to work again. We lost our station wagon and almost our house. But just in time, my mother got a job at a Sears catalog department. At age 13, I went to work too, waiting tables to make ends meet. But I grew up to be a law professor and a U.S. Senator. And today I'm running for president because I want kids from middle-class families to have the same opportunities I have. I'm fighting to rebuild the middle class by providing universal childcare, Medicare for all, and making sure the super wealthy pay their fair share of taxes. I'll also fight to end corruption in Washington, protect a woman's right to choose, reform our criminal justice system, and enact a Green New Deal to protect both our environment and our workers. I'll never stop fighting for this country, its people, and its future. And I'll never stop fighting for you.
I'm Elizabeth Warren, and I approve this message.
Thanks for watching. I'm Hunter Welterman with the NBA.
And I'm Emily Noyes. Happy voting!